What does the future hold for the PlayStation 5? It's a question that has been swirling around the gaming community lately. The PlayStation 5, or PS5, has been the talk of the town since its release in November of 2020. And for good reason. It's a gaming console that has been selling out faster than it can be restocked. It's even on track to outsell its predecessor, the PS4. But a recent report from Bloomberg has stirred up quite a bit of confusion among fans. According to Naomi Matsuoka, a senior vice president at Sony, the PS5 is entering the latter stage of its life cycle. This statement has left many gamers scratching their heads. After all, the PS5 only turned 4 years old this year. Despite inventory issues that have plagued the PS5 since its release, Sony has managed to sell over 54 million consoles. That's more than double the combined sales of its rival, Microsoft's Xbox Series X and Series S consoles. However, while these numbers are impressive, they fall short of Sony's own predictions. The company had hoped to sell 25 million consoles this financial year, which ends in March 2024. But holiday sales in 2023 were not as high as expected, leading Sony to cut its forecast to 21 million units. This has caused Sony's share price to take a hit in recent weeks. In the midst of all this, Sony introduced the PS5 Slim in late 2023. This digital-only model, which comes with an optional and detachable disk drive, is a hardware refresh that mirrors the 3-year time frame Sony took to introduce revisions to its previous console, the PlayStation 4. This move marked the latter stage of the PS4's life cycle, which begs the question, is the PS5 following the same pattern? But with the PS5 still selling out faster than it can be restocked, what does Sony mean by the latter stage of its life cycle? In late 2023, Sony introduced the PS5 Slim, a move that mirrored the company's actions with the PlayStation 4. Let's take a step back and revisit the timeline. Sony released the PS5 Slim in late 2023, a digital-only model that came with an optional and detachable disk drive. This was a strategic move, a hardware refresh that reflected the company's approach with its predecessor, the PlayStation 4. We saw similar revisions to the PS4 about 3 years after its release, marking what Sony often refers to as the latter stage of the console's life cycle. But what does this latter stage really mean? Is it the end of the line for the beloved PS5? Not necessarily. History tells us a different story. Let's take a walk down memory lane. When Sony introduced the PS4 Slim and PS4 Pro back in 2016, it didn't spell the immediate end for the console. In fact, Sony continued to produce PS4 models for over a year after the PS5 burst onto the scene. Now it's not entirely clear whether Sony will follow this same route with the PS5 and its successor. But looking at the past gives us a good reference point. It helps us understand that the latter stage of a console's life cycle doesn't automatically mean we're staring at the end. So when Naomi Matsuoka, a senior vice president at Sony, stated that the PS5 is entering the latter stage of its life cycle, it may have taken many by surprise. But if we consider the historical context and perhaps factor in the time-warping effects of the pandemic, we realize that this is actually par for the course. Sony is no different from any other tech company. Their gears are always turning, always thinking ahead, always planning for the future. They're constantly creating, innovating, evolving. When they refer to the latter stage, they might be hinting at something new, something more powerful on the horizon. So, while the statement about the PS5's life cycle may seem surprising, it appears that things are tracking as normal. We'll just have to wait and see what Sony has in store for us next. Like any tech company, Sony is always working years ahead of what it puts out into the market. This foresight allows Sony to stay ahead of the curve and continuously innovate in the gaming industry. So, what's next for Sony? Rumors have been swirling around the possibility of a new and even more powerful PS5 being in development. This isn't a far-fetched concept, considering the tech giant's track record of releasing hardware refreshes like the PS5 Slim that hit the market in late 2023. But this time the whispers are suggesting something a little more exciting, a PS5 Pro. The PS5 Pro, if the rumors are to be believed, is set to be an absolute game-changer. While the PS5 Slim retained the fundamental makeup of the original PS5 model, with only minor tweaks, the Pro is expected to be a different beast altogether. It's speculated to pack more power, offer enhanced performance, and potentially even redefine our gaming experiences. Sony's recent statement about the PS5 entering the latter stage of its life cycle has added fuel to this fire. While it may seem like the company is hinting at the end of the PS5, it could very well be a subtle hint at what's to come. Remember, the latter stage doesn't necessarily mean the end. Rather, it might be a transition phase, a bridge to something bigger and better. But what does this mean for you, the gamer? Well, the introduction of a more powerful PS5 could mean more immersive gaming experiences with better graphics, faster load times, and smoother gameplay. It could also mean a wider range of games that can take full advantage of the console's improved capabilities. However, it's important to note that these are all speculations for now. Sony hasn't confirmed any of these rumors. But the company's history and recent statements suggest that it is always looking ahead, always planning for the future. So while the future of the PS5 may seem uncertain, it's clear that Sony has plans in the pipeline. And if history is any indication, these plans are likely to push the boundaries of what we expect from gaming technology. Buckle up, because the ride is far from over. If there's anything that should concern gamers, it's a recent statement made by Sony big boss Hiroki Totoki. This is a sentence that has sent ripples of apprehension through the gaming community. On a recent earnings call, Totoki dropped a bombshell, claiming that Sony has no plans to release any new major existing franchise titles next fiscal year. Now, what does this mean for PlayStation fans? It seems that the anticipation for more first-party exclusives will have to be shelved for a while. After a relatively quiet couple of years filled with remasters, fans have been yearning for new groundbreaking content. However, Totoki's statement seems to indicate that the wait for new AA titles or follow-ups to fan favorites like Ghosts of Tsushima will be extended. The implications of this statement are far-reaching. Given Totoki's specified timeline of the fiscal year, it also suggests that the recently announced Death Stranding 2 from gaming legend Hideo Kojima won't be hitting the shelves before April 2025. This news might come as a blow to many eager gamers, and it certainly raises questions about Sony's content strategy. Will this hiatus in major franchise releases allow them to focus on other areas like hardware development or improving online services? Only time will tell. For now, it seems that fans will have to wait a little longer for new AAA titles or follow-ups to fan favorites. But rest assured, we'll be here to keep you up to speed on how things develop. So, what does the future hold for PlayStation? We've delved into the PS5 entering its twilight years, the arrival of the sleek PS5 Slim, and the whispered rumors of a formidable PS5 Pro. Yet the horizon seems a little barren with no new major franchise titles slated for the next fiscal year. The console landscape is ever shifting, and as PlayStation navigates these changes, we'll be here to keep you in the loop. As always, we'll keep you updated as things develop. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.